Okay. All right. We're now going to start a new unit or a new subject, and that is the vowels of Hebrew. I'm looking at Edna Coffin. She has a whole section on the vowel letters found on page 7, goes into a chart of the vowels and on and on. As I already have suggested and have already executed or done, and maybe that word execute is a good word, it means elimination. Edna and I have different approaches of how the language is basically introduced, with Edna being more emphasizing more the current Hebrew as spoken, as used in Israel, and your professor basically going into the academic aspect of the language and how to introduce it that way. That's also true of what I'm going to do regarding the vowels. She does not have a chart the way I do. She has the various names of the vowels, the dot, da, da, and different usage of the vowels with different letters, and that's how she explains it. I rather have the vowels introduced the way I have them and basically use the system I'm going to use. To begin with, notice the chart itself. I have 5 categories. The letter A is a sound of A. The letter E is the sound of A or E. The letter I is the sound of E. The letter O is the sound of O. And the letter U is the sound of U. So of all the 5 letters, the only section that has the sound that looks like the letter that's representing that sound is the 4th category, the letter O, O, and the sounds that are found in that category are O sounds. A confusing sound is the letter for I. The letter I is an E sound. If you hear a sound to be an E sound, you think it should belong to the column that has the letter E. But the letter E represents the sounds of E and A. And so we start. The long, the medial, and the short. And let me just give a little introduction. If a vowel is a long vowel, it's found in an open syllable. If a vowel is a short vowel, its regular position is a closed syllable. I'll explain that in a second. A medial vowel is in between long and short, either an open syllable or a closed syllable. What is meant by open and closed syllables, we'll go into that once we finish the chart of the vowels as they are. To begin with, the long vowel of the A. The long A of Hebrew, the letter X represents a consonant, is written underneath the consonant and looks like a hammer. This is called the kamatz. The kamatz, the long kamatz. The long kamatz in Hebrew, however, is almost unfunctional. It's rare to find a word today, even a medieval word, even a biblical word, which suggests it is a long kamatz. The one example that comes to mind immediately is the holiday Jews recently celebrated called the holiday of Pentecost, in Hebrew called Shavuot. Shavuot. Without you knowing how to read Hebrew, that kamatz, that marker underneath that first letter, happens to be a long ah sound, not the other kamatz, which is normally medial or short. In any case, you'll learn this as we get into the Hebrew lessons. The long kamatz has developed, according to academics, into a long O sound. So syllables that today have a long O are said to have been interchangeable back in the day with a long kamatz. Or to put it in simple terms, the long A developed into the long O sound. A long O, we'll see an example when they get to that column. I now move over to the next column. The long A sound in Hebrew is written this way. 2 dots, which are vertical to each other, and I guess followed by the yud. If you see a marker like this is called the long tsere. The tsere and the long tsere. It's also possible to find a segol. This is more rare. 3 dots, followed by that letter yud. The long E of Hebrew is the chirik. The chirik malay is called, the full chirik. A dot underneath the letter, followed by the consonant yud. The consonant yud here is a marker of a vowel. It's not a consonant as a consonant, it's a consonant. The long O of Hebrew is again your consonant, followed by the vav letter with a dot above it. The vav is a marker of a sound of an O. It's not the consonant vav. And the long U in Hebrew is written with that same vav, only the mark is in the middle of that letter, whereas the O sound is above that letter vav. So again, I have to emphasize, if you look at the so-called vowels, a number of them appear to be written with consonants. The consonant vav is playing the role of a vowel, O. The consonant yud is playing the vowel of an A or an E. The consonant yud can also be the marker or the vowel of an E. The consonant vav can be that of an O or an U. And let me perhaps say this. There are 4 letters of Hebrew. The Aleph letter, the Hey letter, the Vav letter, and the Yud letter are not just simply consonants, they are also markers of vowels. They are markers of vowels, and when Hebrew is written without the vowel system, these 4 letters take over the sound of the vowel. It sounds hard. The same letter can be a consonant, and it can also be a vowel marker. And writing without the Hebrew vowels in today's Hebrew writing, these 4 letters play that function. They are vowel markers. The medial vowels. The medial vowel shares with the long vowel, is part of an open syllable. We still need to know what that looks like. And it's also part of a closed syllable. There are 3 Hebrew medial vowels. The most common one is the medial ah. It's written the same way as the long ah, but the long ah, we made a flat statement, is no longer functioning. So whenever you see a kamatz, assume it's not the long ah, unless it's an exception, but it's probably the medial ah. It's called a kamatz. Kamatz benoni, the Hebrew word for medial, benoni, in between. The second medial vowel is a tsere, a tsere, like this without the yud, a tsere. There is no medial E sound, but there's a medial O sound. And it looks like this. It's an O sound, like this is an O sound, only this has a vav to make it long. This lacks the vav. It's just a dot to the left of the letter. And Hebrew does not have a medial U sound. So there are 3 medial vowels. The medial cholam, as that dot is called, the medial tsere, and the medial kamatz. And now another observation. Whenever you see a medial vowel, there is a very good possibility that the accent of the word falls on the syllable that has the medial vowel. The accent, the emphasis. And let's give you several examples. The word for morning. When you say good morning to a person, as I write out that word, just look at how I write it. If I write without vowels, you can't read that word. That same 3 letters can spell out the word bakar, the Hebrew word for cattle. The same 3 letters spell out the word for boker. And you can see the distinction. When you write with vowels, the vowels give insight to what word you're referring to. This is an bakar, the Hebrew word for cattle. This is an o'eh, boker, Hebrew word for morning. And now watch what I'm about to do. The medial vowel attracts the accent. The emphasis in this case of the 2 syllables is over that first syllable. We don't say boker, we say boker, boker. In this case here, we'll have 2 commas. Did you not say, Professor, that the medial vowel attracts the accent? Well, what am I going to do when I have 2 commas? Where is the accent going to be? On both syllables? And here's where we make the following statement. A medial kamatz is either accented or 1 place removed from the accent. A medial kamatz is either accented or 1 place removed from the accent. And bakar is a classic example of two consonants, both of them are medial, but it's one place removed from the accent or it's accented. The medial cholam is always accented, always. The medial kamatz, one place removed or accented. And the medial tsere, as in the word sefer, the word for book, notice how I'm saying the word sefer. I'm hitting the first syllable. I'm accenting the first syllable. Why? Because the medial tsere, like the medial cholam, draws the accent. The tsere may not do it all the time. The cholam always does. And the kamatz is either or. And we'll tell you why it's either or, because there's another kamatz we haven't seen yet. So the three medial vowels, medial cholam, as this is called, medial tsere, medial kamatz. This is always accented. This is always accented for our purposes. And this is either accented or one place removed from the accent. Then there's the short vowels. The short vowels are the short patach, written like this, a patach, not a hammer like. There's a short segol. There's a short chirik. There's a short kamatz. And the short kamatz looks just like the medial kamatz. And how are you going to tell the difference? By observance. And then there is the short, then there's the kubutz. The kubutz is 1, 2, 3. 3 dots written on a slant. The kubutz. The kubutz. Again, in sound, this is short. Ooh. This is more long. Ooh. And then we have the following rule. When you see a short vowel, it should be part of a closed syllable. If it is not, it is accented. When you see a long vowel, it should be part of an open syllable. If it's closed, it's accented, meaning it's irregular, so it has to be accented. And the medial vowel is either open or closed syllables. And we still have to understand what an open and closed syllable looks like. We'll get to that in a second. And then finally, there is what's called the half-vowels. The half-vowels is a whole different topic. There are Hebrew words which are written with the following marker. I know I need to write it somewhere, so let me do it here. The marker is 2 dots like this. Not how, they're one underneath the other. This has the sound of It's transliterated or transcribed like this marker here. Like this.
So sometimes that, what's that called? That's called the two
It's called the shva.
Shva. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's a
That's
syllable
right.
marker, and sometimes it's pronounced.
There are times when that same marker, it looks the same way, has a sound to it. I'll give you an example or two in a second. And there are many times when the two markers, when that marker is totally silent. So one is called a mobile, M-O-B-I-L-E, shva. The word is called shva. I'm afraid I need to use the board a little bit here.
The difference between shva and spanat.
Yeah, we'll get to 1 second.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Yeah. Let's first get down the name.
Understand.
The word is called the shva. As I write the word on the board, shva. This is the shva. The shva looks like this underneath the letter. There are 2 types of shva. There's a shva na, which is a Hebrew word to move, the moving shva, otherwise known as the mobile, has a sound to it. That's the shva that has a sound, as in the word shema. If a shva occurs under the first letter of the word, it's not silent. A silent shva is to have the letter above following a short vowel, closing the vowel that's before it. In this case, shema, the word to hear, I'm giving a sound, shema. I'm giving a sound to that shin. When you have the shva in the middle of a word, or shva underneath the last letter of the word, and it follows a vowel before it, it's probably the silent shva. So, for example, if I take the word midbar, midbar, notice how I'm writing that word. I have the letter mem, I have a vowel under it, and that hirik is being closed by a shva under the next letter. When you see a shva under a letter which follows a short vowel, there's a good possibility that there's no sound to that shva, and you're blending the letter above to the vowel before. Mid, that's how I should write that word. There's no vowel in the dalet, but we purposely put that marker there because every letter, according to rabbinic emotion, should have an accompaniment. But it's a silent shva. And the only way you can tell it's silent is if the letter above follows a short vowel before. This dalet is not following the mem, it's following the vowel underneath the letter which is found. And that explains why that letter bet has a dot in it. That's the so-called light dot. A bigger careful letter following a consonant would be plosive, not spirant. If this were shvana, then the bet letter is following a half vowel and it would be continuant, it would not be plosive. It would be
The
mid.
difference between plosive and spiral, what you said?
Yeah. Plosive is exploding the air. The bigger careful letter has a dot to explode the letter.
More, and that makes it louder, it makes it more emphasis.
It's a different sound. But versus
right.
the Gimel and the Dalet no longer has that distinction anymore. That's why the Israelis don't make that emphasis. But when it comes to grammar, you got to show it that way. Take the word Baruch, for example. The word Baruch, the bet letter is one of the six bigger kefas. It's beginning the word. It's going to be a B sound. It's not going to be Baruch. And then the final half letter, notice I'm not saying Baruch, I'm saying Baruch. I'm giving it a K sound. I'm giving it a continuing K sound. I'm not giving it a K that's plosive. Why so? A bigger careful letter following a vowel, a half vowel, any vowel would never be plosive. It's not Baruch, it's Baruch.
So that's why people mispronounce it as Baruch.
Because they read the English Baruk, even if it's a KH, they just read it straight. They don't have a sense of Hebrew grammar. And in your case, it's a KH versus a CH. But that's the question of academics now. Everybody has their shortcomings. All right, I don't want to lose something too. All right, we basically have what's called the half vowels. The half vowels will also be seen as a shvana or shvanach. Again, this is something we go into when we come across words. The word is shva. Na is a mobile shva. Nach is a silent shva. They both look the same, like this. The question now is, when we see these vowels, what is meant by an open syllable or closed? But before I do that, the shva is found with all Hebrew letters, except 4 letters, which cannot take a shvana. And what are
laryngeal?
Excuse me?
Are those the laryngeal letters? Are those the laryngeal letters?
That's right. The 4 letters that don't take a shvana are the 4 laryngeals, as Baruch said. The aleph letter, the ayin, the hey, and the chet. And in its place, you will have a replacement. If the shvana is called for and the letter above is laryngeal, you'll have a chata patach. Look at what I did. A patach with a shva alongside of it is a half sound. It's not the real patach. There's a chata sagol, and there's also a chata kamatz.
And this spana reduces the sound that would normally be made by those sounds that were isolated.
These are sounds that have to be made. If you see them, if you see your word pointed with vowels, you see a chata patach, you sound this as an a, an e, and o. The question is, when I say or, does it not sound like the short vowel or? But again, how can I tell the difference in appearance between the or of the short vowel kamats and the ah? Same appearance of the medial vowel. That's why we have to know what a closed and open syllable is about. But that's getting everything together in 1 minute. I can't do all that now. Just know that the half vowels are the half patach, half sago, half kamats, and they're only found with 4 letters: the aleph, the ayin, the he, and the chet. And no doubt because those letters come from the throat. And I guess it's difficult to say the shva on its own with the laryngeal letters. All right, do we have enough time to do the syllabification?
We have, let me look at it, it's 1:26. Yeah, just go, I mean, we could begin it.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to erase some of
You
this
go-
right now.
It's on the video. I got it on video. So
Okay,
look at
okay.
it, so you can erase
All right, I'm gonna erase this because I have to go into what's called the open and closed syllables, and we'll repeat again what the chart has to say. The long vowels, open syllables; the short vowels, closed syllables; the medial vowels are either open or closed syllables. The first thing is, what exactly is a syllable in Hebrew? A syllable in Hebrew can be one of the following examples. There's a syllable that is CV, CVC, CVCC. These are your 3 basic syllables of Hebrew. Then you have a syllable that looks like this: CINCV,
Explain the
CINCVC. What is that?
The C stands for represents consonant, the V
Yes,
vowel.
well, I'll get there. Okay, the 5 syllables for our purposes are CV, CVC, CVCC, CINCV, CINCVC. The letter C stands for the word consonant. The letter V stands for the word vowel. And now the first declaration when it comes to syllabification. When a syllable ends with a vowel, it's called an open syllable. When a syllable ends with a consonant, it's called a closed syllable. Open syllables end with a consonant, end with a vowel. Closed syllables end with a consonant.
And that's even within the sentence, because a word could have different syllables. So those rules could apply to different ones.
Your question is what?
Oh, just it's an aside, distraction. Excuse me. Just continue.
Okay, you probably had a good question. I just didn't catch it. Okay,
I
all right. Let me just do some of this right now. Okay, I'm taking that word CV, an open syllable, etc., etc. I'm going to write the word lomed. I'm going to write in Hebrew, lomed. You always begin your syllabification from right to left, and you always begin your syllables never with a vowel. There are words in Hebrew which have vowels that start the syllable, but those vowels are markers of additional words attached to the word that you're analyzing. I'm using basic, simple Hebrew right now. The word lomed is the word to study. I take my lamed, that's my first letter. I now see my first marker after it. It looks like the cholam maleh, the complete cholam, the full cholam. I stop right there. CV. I go over my chart. If a vowel is a long vowel, it should be part of an open syllable. CV. I now look at the next combination. If the next combination had a shva underneath, in this case the mem, or if that mem had a dot in it called the strong dot, then that syllable would be closed. The mem does not have a shva under it, nor does it have a dagesh chazak, the strong dot in it. I conclude that the syllable number 1 is open. Is a long vowel normal to an open syllable? Yes. If this were a closed syllable, then it needs to have the accent. It's a regular syllable. Long vowels, open syllable are regular. Now look at the second syllable. The mem has a tsere followed by a dalet. It's CVC. This is a closed syllable. A syllable ending with a consonant is closed. A syllable ending with a vowel is open. I look at my tsere. Tsere is a medial vowel. Medial vowels attract the accents. In Hebrew Sephardic pronunciation, unless told otherwise, your accent should be the last syllable. That's number one. Number two, the tsere attracts the accent no matter what. That's number two. Can the tsere be part of a closed syllable? The answer is yes. Medial vowels can be either open or closed. So everything is quite regular here. CV and CVC. This is an open syllable. This is a closed syllable. You got two examples. One is CV, one is CVC. What about the example called CVCC? That's more rare. An example of CVCC, let's take the word naird. Naird is a type of ointment, a type of material that's perfume-like. Just look at how I write the word. See how I did? Naird is monosyllabic. The nun has a tsere under it. The resh has a shva under it. The shva is a silent shva. It's not a shva with a sound to it. And the dalet happens to be written with a shva under it as well. Even if it weren't written with a shva under it, even if it weren't, the syllabification is CVCC. CVCC. That's your third example. And again, if it's monosyllabic, the emphasis would have to be on that one syllable. And the tsere is a medial vowel, can be open or closed, either way, and it's emphasized. And then you have the CINs. The CINs is if you have a shva found in the word. So let's get you an example there. Okay, the word for Jerusalem. Here's a good example where if you're able to follow me, you picked up a hell of a lot in the last 5 minutes. Look at how I start. That yud is my consonant. Underneath that yud is a shva. So the first thing I can say about a shvana, if you see a shva under the first letter of a word, it always must be a shvana. If it were the silent shva, it has to follow immediately a short vowel. There's no vowel, there's no consonant before the first letter, for God's sakes. So the first shva, or shva in the first letter of a word, always has to be a shvana. Notice how I write it. Consonant yud, and an ayin standing for the word na. Na is the shvana, the moving shva. Does a syllable end with a shvana? No, it has to have one of these combinations. I then go on with the resh, and the resh has a shvur attached to it. I stop right there. CI and CV is not a syllable. CI and CV is a syllable. Is it an open syllable? Or there's no dagesh in the next letter to close, that's short, and there's no shva underneath the next letter. So I'm concluding the syllable ends with a vowel, and is it regular? I check my vowel. The vowel is a long vowel. Long vowel is part of open syllables. Long vowel is part of open syllable. It's quite regular. I then go on with the next combination. The shin has a kamatz under it. If this were a short kamatz, it should be closed syllable. There's no dot in the letter that follows, and there's no shva underneath the letter that follows. The syllable is open. An open syllable with a kamatz cannot be the short kamatz. The short kamatz must be part of a closed syllable. If it's not part of a closed syllable, it must be accented. So why can't I assume it's a short kamatz? And if so, it needs to get the accent. If that was so, then what do I do with the lamed? Do you see the lamed that follows? There's a patach under it. That's a short vowel. That definitely needs to be accented. It's not being closed by a dot in the yud or a shvanach underneath the yud. So the accent is over the lamed, the second to last syllable, And the medial kamash is either accented or one place removed for the accent. And that's what you see right here. So this is CV, it's regular, medial vowel, one place removed for the accent over the lama with a patah, short vowel open is irregular, it's accented. And the last syllable is yud, kirik mem, final mem letter, notice how it's written. Closed syllable for a long vowel, for a short vowel is regular. So Yerushalayim has one syllable, two, three, four syllables. The accent is not the last syllable. Second's the last syllable. Short vowel open is regular, irregular, gets accented. The medial kamach is two places removed from the end, but it's one place removed for the accent, which it has to be. Otherwise, it has to be accented. And the first syllable is CI and CV. The accent, Yerushalayim, not Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim. Okay, you got a perfect word in this particular session. We will continue.
Hold on, come on.